Whenever you're in a situation like this, when you have so many things going on, so many variables, so many external factors, and as an entrepreneur or a business owner, you signed up for this. So you have to be prepared for this. You have to understand this is part of the process. You sign up for a couple of things. One is risk. You take on risk of reputation, risk of capital, different types of risk. The other thing you sign up for is having a lot of variables, external factors, things on the go. You don't have the option like you do when you're an employee, when you're an entrepreneur, quote unquote, as they call them, when you're within a company, within a team, to show up some days, other days not show up. Show up when you're feeling good, other days when you're not feeling so good, not be as productive. You don't have these options. When you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, you have to show up every single day, do your best, move things forward, really move the ball forward in the direction that you want to go, in the direction of your North Star, right? So the advice is very simple, but also very complicated. The advice I'm going to give you is prioritize and then execute. Okay, so first things first, you have to prioritize. All of these things that you just listed out for me, there are way too many things to just try to tackle all at once, because it requires a different form of thinking, right? When you're thinking as an operational, tactical entrepreneur or business owner, and you're handling these operational problems, that requires a certain type of thinking. When you're thinking more strategic with the vision and the mission of the actual business and what you're looking to do in that direction with products and services, how you want to, incorporate these products and services, and how you want to innovate in your business, that requires a different type of strategic thinking. So you can't be in both modes at the same time. You're just going to overwhelm yourself, which is the current situation. So you have to take a step back first and foremost to be able to see the full picture from outside the frame, meaning you start to prioritize. So I want you to actually do this after this call. Make a list in your notebook of all the different priorities, all the different things that you have to accomplish. So everything that you have to get done and all these different spectrums that you've shared with me, make a list of everything. Then prioritize. Okay. So actually put numbers next to them, list them from 1 to 10 or however many things there are on your to-do list, right? Prioritize them in order of what needs to happen. Which one of these tasks could you tackle that will have the biggest impact? Whereas you may not even need to do some of the other tasks if these main tasks were handled. So when you start to prioritize, you'll start to see what's the most important. What are the highest priorities? What actually requires your attention? What's a must or a need? And what's just, a nice to have, something that would be nice to have, something that would be nice to accomplish and get done, but is not necessarily a priority or an absolute need for your business. You're going to be able to make those distinctions. So when you do that, then you start to tackle the priorities. So you prioritize, figure out what are the needs, what are the musts, what are the absolute highest priorities that you need to tackle. Once those priorities are in check, you go on to step 2, which is execute. You get to work on those things. Once they're in priority, you start to knock them out one by one by one by one. And here's a good tip for you that I utilize myself all the time. When you have a list of priorities to accomplish, you don't move on to number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 until number 1 is done. So you tackle number 1, you complete that. Number 1 has to be checked off or crossed off. Once number 1 priority is done, you move on to priority number 2, complete that cycle. Once that cycle is complete, you move on to priority number 3, and so on and so on and so on. This is how you can really be productive and more efficient with your time and knock out all these priorities without overwhelming yourself, without building up all this anxiety, right? I don't have kids or a family of this sort yet, but I could only imagine how much more stress or time it adds, right? So if anything, more than anybody, somebody like yourself who has a family, who has kids, and is also a business owner, needs to understand this concept of prioritize and execute.